It's part of an expansion that connects downtown Indianapolis to Fort Harrison State Park in Lawrence. Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett says it's part of his $100 million capital plan.
You might remember Ron Sexton, also known as Donnie Baker, on the Bob and Tom Show. Sasha Nixon reports his cause of death has been revealed.
The Hoosier writer and comedian overdosed on fentanyl and alcohol. He was found dead in an Ohio hotel room in July. Sexton, who was known for portraying the character Donnie Baker and doing impressions, was only 52 years old. Sasha Nixon, 93, WIBC Mobile News.
Congress is trying to avoid a government shutdown. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy wants to pass a short-term spending plan that would extend the deadline past September 30th. Indiana Republican Congresswoman Victoria Spartz says no to that.
September 30th didn't move on the calendar. We knew about that date. Under Republican leadership, we are increasing the amount of unauthorized spending. We don't have our appropriations done.
She tells Tony Katz today that neither Republicans nor Democrats have the backbone to challenge the corrupt swamp that is bankrupting our children and grandchildren.
A drafted resolution to remove Kevin McCarthy as House Speaker was found in a bathroom at the Capitol building. The Daily Beast says it was found by a reporter Tuesday on a baby changing table in a bathroom under the House floor. Reporter Matt Laszlo posted pictures of it on X, formerly known as Twitter, said it was being put forth by Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida, who has been calling on McCarthy recently to listen to the demands of the far right. Investigators at the Capitol are trying to figure out if the motion was left in the bathroom on accident or on purpose.
If you use marijuana, you may soon be allowed to get a job with the federal government. That story and more next on 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, the Attorney General testifies in front of Congress. And what is the Department of Homeland Security doing with all these illegal immigrants? That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
Faking his own death is what police say a man from Oklahoma did. They believe Melvin Imday was trying to avoid child rape charges, so he slipped out of a kayak and pretended that he drowned in the Mississippi River and was on the run for more than a month until a motorcycle crashed near the Florida-Georgia line. Imday was caught and arrested this week. He'll be taken back to North Carolina, where police say the crime happened.
Congress is voting today on legislation that would remove cannabis use as a way to disqualify someone from getting security clearance.
It's very important because so many veterans have discovered that cannabis is really good medicine for post-traumatic stress disorder.
David Bass is with the pro-marijuana group NORML, and he works with veterans. He calls the so-called CURE Act as a way of keeping up with the current climate on cannabis. It would give or set up a review process for people who were denied employment by the federal government because they used marijuana dating back to 2008.
Attorneys for the accused Delphi killer say their client is innocent, and Kurt Darling reports on their new theory.
They say Abby Williams and Libby German were killed in a ritualistic sacrifice related to Odinism. That's an ancient Norse religion, a form of paganism. Dr. Jefferson Calico, a professor of world religions at the University of the Cumberlands in Kentucky, tells Wish TV that modern practitioners are not keen on human sacrifice.
Every Reconstructionist I've talked to has been pretty explicit in rejecting human sacrifice. That's something just not appropriate for contemporary people.
But he's not ruling out that there are people out there who do. So far, no public evidence suggests that Odinism was behind the murders. Kurt Darling, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A murder suspect named Kevin Mason in Marion County was let out of the adult detention center by a clerical mistake a week ago. As for why the police waited until Tuesday to tell the public about it,
we have used this time as a tactical advantage for us. We have used this time as the quietness of the situation to further run him underground and send him running further than what we wanted him to.
Marion County Sheriff's Office Colonel James Martin believes Mason has ties to Indianapolis and is likely being helped by someone. If you know where he is, give Crime Stoppers or 911 a call.
And today is National Queso Day, so there are deals that you can get on queso at places like Qdoba and Moe's Southwest Grill. Queso originates from Chihuahua, which is a state located in the north of Mexico.
I'm Ryan Hedrick.
And I'm Sean Herrick. On the Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Live from the heartland and the crossroads of America, it's Tony Katz Today.
I'm glad that Leader McConnell can muster an admonishment. He must be feeling better. But when it comes to a clean CR, if House moderates want to join with Democrats to advance every feature of the Biden government, thinking that that's going to be good for them politically, they will be signing their own political death warrant and handing it to their executioner, because it won't be conservatives going after those moderates in the next elections. It'll be the very Democrats that they're in coalition with.
Well, that's a statement. I mean, Matt Gaetz is taking it all to the streets. This is street fight time. I mean, you have Byron Donalds, congressman from Florida, hitting at him because Donalds wants the continuing resolution and thinks that people like Matt Gaetz, opposed to the resolution, are being foolhardy.
I would challenge my colleague from Florida to create a coalition that tries to actually get a victory for the American people. If he wants to have a personal thing with me going back and forth, he's entitled to, but I don't care about that foolishness. I want to win.
So is winning, staying open, spending more, is that really winning, Congressman?
Let me assure you, I have no personal issue with Byron Donalds. I did oppose the continuing resolution because I would oppose any continuing resolution. I would oppose the greatest continuing resolution ever drafted if you have to cast one vote, up or down, on funding all of these disparate agencies of government, from the Department of Education to the Department of Labor to our troops and our veterans. So this isn't personal, but we have to now realize that Kevin McCarthy has put us behind the 8 ball. We have had control of the House of Representatives for 8 months, and we did not stay on schedule moving spending bills to advance our priorities and constrain the out-of-control actions of this Biden regime. And because we haven't done that, because we failed, now everyone's back's against the wall. So the way out of that is not to revert to the old corrupt muscle memory of Washington, D.C. with continuing resolutions. The way forward is to have single subject spending bills, and we should start tonight. We should cancel every weekend. We should work 12-hour days if necessary, and then we have to deal with the leaders who put us in this bad spot in the first.
He makes sense. Donalds makes sense as well. It's really a question of how you want to get the thing done. But we should start with a baseline. If government shuts down, government shuts down. It's their fault. And yes, Democrats, that means you too. Tony Katz today. What is going on, everybody? 833-GOT-TONY, 833-468-8669. Maybe I said that wrong. It's our fault. We keep voting for clowns, keep doing the same thing. The part that Matt Gaetz is correct about is this idea of backs against the wall. It's this idea of we knew what was happening. We knew what was going on. We knew what needed to get done. Why didn't we do it? Victoria Spartz represents the 5th District of Indiana. She's my member of Congress. And she was on NBC, and she's making the point. The date on the calendar didn't move. You got to have these 12 appropriations bills passed. Otherwise, we have a 1% reduction in spending. That was the deal that Speaker McCarthy made with President Biden when they decided that the debt limit wouldn't have a number to it. Now these things aren't being met. Now that there has to be a deal made in order to fund the government, but that deal isn't forthcoming. Why weren't these things done 6 months ago, 5 months ago, 4 months ago, 3 months ago? That's what Matt Gaetz is saying. This is certainly what Victoria Spartz is saying. Sometimes a little hard to understand when she's doing an interview with the accent. She's there in the halls of Congress, people walking all around her, but I think you can get to it. I think you can understand what it is that she's going for here.
We got into these issues. We have a serious fiscal catastrophe looming. We didn't get here overnight. We will not get out of here overnight. But if we abandon our duties, Congress, and not doing our job and doing politicking, we will never get out until it's going to hurt the American people significantly.
Isn't shutting down the government the peak of abandoning that